All right, let's see. I just restarted the stream. You may need to refresh the Twitch viewer. So let me know if you folks can see it now. Yay, Seabear, it works, good. That's what I like to hear. Cool. So what I was doing is I was running the, that's not my back, that's my back. But thank you, Steve. Yes, bad humor all throughout the Twitch stream. So what I was trying to do is go out to the GitHub repo, which we created last time, which is just an Angular app running on Node, and first start to see if it works at all. And I got an error, of course. I ran Node index.js down here at the bottom, and the error is basically telling me, look, dude, you did not build this app. There is no dist folder. So let's go back down here and check this out. I just learned this morning. There's a way in VS Code where you can have two terminals side by side. On Mac, if you hit Command D, you'll notice I now have a second terminal over here. So I got the running one running the Node server, but over here, I can see ng build like that. So now I can have two terminals side by side. Where's my guitar? My guitar's right here. So we can play while it's building, right? We're building the app and we can play a little music. Not really. Oh, see how long it takes. Or we can do like a... Always gets stuck on 92, doesn't it? We need some background music while we're building. All right. Let's see here. All right, so here we go. We built our app. Now we have a dist folder. So if I go back over to the browser and I refresh, yay, we've got our app. All right, so that's what we need. We need a dist folder. Alex, yep, got the guitar there. Kid C, yep, the tip down there, I love it. Now this only works in the Insiders version. So I have the Insiders build of VS Code. Should come up here, see if you can see that. There's like a pop-down menu. I've got the Insiders version. So you get stable or Insiders. Insiders like a nightly build. So this is hopefully going to be coming in the stable build next month, but can't promise. But boy, until then, I'm really liking it. That's why I use the Insider builds. Hey from Cuba, Daniel, nice to see you there. Okay, so now that the app is working, we've proved that it's working, we're good. I can kill the Node process. I can clear up my other terminal. The first thing I wanted to do is see, how could I push this up to the cloud? So there is a really cool blog post, and I want to show everybody that link. So I gotta go back over to my notes, because I always forget hyperlinks. And let's see if I can find it. Yeah, so this is a blog post that a buddy of mine at Microsoft put together. And the link, I'll put it right up here in Google. It's this ak.ms g0svvp. If you go to that URL, I'll put that inside of the chat. That's the blog post on on the Azure CLI feature. So here it is. This is the blog post I'm going to be looking at. A couple of the folks, Ahmed Nabley, went ahead and created this feature with his team and some other folks at Microsoft that I work with. It's an extension for the Azure CLI, which when you're done, all you do, you add in this extension, you just type in AZ Web App New and you give it a name, and we can optionally give it a location and stuff, and it's supposed to push it up to the cloud. So I figured we would try to see, does this work with our app? So let's make this window smaller. There we go. Go back over here. Now I've already installed the extension and the Azure CLI. If you're looking to do that, I've got another link for you. Let me grab that for you. So if you want to install the Azure CLI extensions, go back to the chat window, and that's going to be this link right here. That gives you instructions in here on how to add it. You basically do AZ extension add, and then we can update it, and then we can use it. So come back over here. We should be able to type AZ web app new, and then we say -n for the name. And what do you want to call this thing? this new app we're creating? Anybody got an idea? Let's see if maybe somebody on the stream wants to join in and give us an idea for a name. How about we call this Twitch something, like Super Cat? That's a good one. All right. Thank you, Clarkio. You were first. So AZ Web App, new, Twitch Super Cat. And we're in the root. Let's see what happens. So as this is working, we should be able to see kind of what the messages are for doing it. It's telling me it's creating something called a resource group. That's an Azure thing. Don't have to know about it. That's awesome. It's creating an app service plan. Basically, it's creating it up on Linux. All right, sounds good. And then it should be pushing this code up to this new app. Oh, so it's first creating the web app. There's this thing called an app service, and it's naming the app service Twitch Supercat. Now what's happening? Updating app settings to enable the build. Okay, so first it's deploying it. Created a zip file. It's deploying the contents to the app. Oh, that's ominous. This operation can take some time to finish. Some time. That could be 5 seconds or it could be 5 minutes. We don't know. Let's kind of prepare for this though. Let's look down here. We had an index.js that we're looking. So this is the thing we want it to launch when it's done. And it's going to push all this code up there. We've got this dist folder. That's what we wanted to have launched. And I've got this extension in VS Code called Azure App Service. These are my existing app services that are in my plan. So when we're done, we should see something called the Twitch Super Cat. If anybody has any questions along the way, please feel free to just chime in. Happy to answer anything as we go. We're going to wait for this to pop up there. Very cool. Let's see. I'm going to refresh just in case it appears on this side first. Do my little recycle button. Oop, there's the Twitch Supercat. It doesn't say it's done, but it's showing up. I could get eager and go and browse to it, but I want to wait for this message down here. Now, one of the reasons it takes longer is the more files you have, the more stuff you got to zip, the more stuff that's got to get sent up there. And right now we're setting up all of our node modules too, and we're going to take a look at that later, see if we can make this much smaller and just send up the built code. Right. That message is not going away. Let's go ahead and be brave. Let's say browse to website. And let's see what happens. I got an error. That's not good. Still thinking. We'll pop that up here. Hey, Mike Fox, thanks for joining us. The app idea today is we're taking an existing Node and Angular app and we're trying to push it to the cloud with a single command. And we just ran that command. That's right here. It's called AZ Web App New, and I named it Twitch Supercat. And now we're just waiting for it to complete. I got eager and anxious, and I went ahead and popped up the window and tried to browse to it. See what happens. Still erroring out. And we'll see what happens there. In the meantime, if you don't have this, what you do is go out to this blog post, and the link is in the chat window. It's called AZ Web App New. And first you can install the Azure CLI. Let's pop over to the CLI extensions link here. And then in here, you can also see, if you scroll up a little, there's an install of the CLI. You can say what Mac or Windows or whatever. I'm on Mac. And to install it, you simply just say brew install Azure CLI. So that gives you the Azure CLI. Once you have that, you can come down here and type AZ extension add new name web app. So you type in AZ add -- name web app, and it's going to add this extension that we're running right now. And once we have that, we're going to go ahead and run AZ web app update, or sorry, new. Seabear, how long is the stream going to take? Probably about an hour and 15 minutes today. I usually shoot for a little over an hour and leave myself an hour and a half just in case for everything. This upload should not take this long though, so that's a good question. Let's go ahead and browse it again, see what's happening. Nope, still got an error on there. In the meantime, let's check out the files. If we open up the files window in this extension, we should be able to see kind of what's been pushed up there. This is the files on my Azure app server, which is pretty cool. And we can like click into there. So for example, I can go look at the index.js. And it's opening up. This is the index.js on my server, which is pretty cool. I can even do stuff like type something in here like this file is on my server. And if I press save, it's actually going to tell me, wait a minute, this is the file on your server. Do you want to upload it? Or did you not mean to do that? I don't want to do that in this case. But it's pretty cool. We can actually edit the files right from VS Code. Yes, it's done. Let's go back into terminal. It said it was done. There we go. We should be able to go back to our browser, refresh. Whew. All right. Yay, the app works. So we simply took the app with a single command and pushed it up to the server. Does anybody know why it took so long? We want to guess at why that took so long. Check this out. Node modules, right? We uploaded all this. And we had a lot of other files. So one part of this is how do we figure out how to not do all that? So I wanted to take a look at the structure of my app and figure out how could I build this such that I only distribute some of the files and not all of them. Like when I push, maybe I don't want to push the whole thing up. For example, what I really want in the dist folder is I want something like this where I've got, my index.js is over here, that's my node file, and maybe I've got a folder in here called like www, and then all these other files are in my www folder, my index.html, I'm not going to drag and drop, but all this other stuff would be in there. So the index.js would serve what's in www. That's kind of what I want to end up with. So let's delete the dist folder entirely. And let's do a little restructuring. Who likes to refactor code on the fly with 100 of your best friends? I do. So let's create a new branch. And let's call this Twitch Docker. We're going to do some Docker too. So in this branch, first I want to change the source. I want to create a new folder in my source called client. And let's create one called server. Already got a server folder. Cool. What's in there? Let's kill it. All right. Let's create a new folder called server. All right. Now I want to take everything that's in here and move it up. So I'm going to grab everything. What I'm doing is holding shift down so I can multi-select. I'm going to hold the command key down, unselect client and server. I'm going to move everything inside of client. Like that. That's also a relatively new feature in VS Code. So everything's in the client folder now that I wanted. Nothing's in server yet. We're going to drag the index up to server. Right there. So now we've got the server's got index, the client's got all of its code. A couple things we're going to have to do. Inside of package.json, you may notice that I've got express in there. I don't necessarily want it in there. I'm going to create another package.json inside the server folder. Let's go do that. So let's go into source, server. I want to create a package.json. So I'm going to run npm init-y. It creates an empty package.json right there. And then I'm going to run npm install express-save. That's actually the default now, but it should add that to this and create node modules. So right now I'm kind of moving my node server off to one folder and put my Angular app in another. A couple other things we're going to have to do to switch this around. We're moving file paths, and as everybody knows, when you move file paths around, it's a real pain in the butt sometimes. So the other thing I want to do is go back to my root package.json. I want to do npm uninstall express-save. That should remove it from the other one. So now express is in this package.json, but it's not in here. Well, as soon as it's done, it'll not be in there. Cool. All right, so once we do that, we've got a couple other things to do. We've got our node modules. Why do I have so many changed files? Oh, because we moved the files around. That's okay. So once we get that in place, we can still run the node server. But now our folder we have to run it from is going to be a little different. So we're going to play with that in a minute, like where we want to put this. Before we do that, what I want is ng-build, which is the command that does our build. It runs based upon what's in this file. This is the Angular Cli JSON. And it knows where the code is. I just moved the code to source client. So that's now my root of my Angular app. And my outdir is going to be a little different. And for this, I'm going to go cheat. What I want to do is make sure that all the file paths work properly. So to do that, I'm going to bring up another GitHub window, put this over in here. And in this file, let's go back to my Angular CLI JSON. Notice what I'm doing here is I've got source client, then the output dir says dist app. So that's kind of where I'm going to put this stuff when I'm done. Like, where is it going to actually end up? I'm going to put everything in a dist, just be a little different, public web folder. So what I'm saying is all the Angular files should go into dist/public web. So again, what I want to have happen when I'm done is, and I'll just go create it real quick just to show you. So I come over here to new folder. We'll have a dist folder. Inside of that folder, we'll have one called public web. And then at the root of this dist folder, we'll have index.js, like that. So the index.js will be our node server, and public web will be all of our Angular stuff. So let me kill that. And instead, what I want to do is kind of go back to that Chrome file and look. I got my output dir, okay. There's this special setting in assets. Let me grab this, lines 13 through 18. I come down to the assets. I can stick them in here. And I need a comma. What I'm saying here is normally assets grabs files and folders and copies them to the dist folder, wherever your outdir is. What I want to do though is I also want to grab everything in the server folder and move that to the root of the dist folder. So I'm saying the input is go back relative to my client folder and get the server contents. Get everything that's in that folder and then put it into go back one folder in my dist folder. And I probably just want this. So now if I run this, it might work, although I think this tsconfig, I think I had to move that too inside of my source folder. We'll find out. So let's rebuild and see what happens. ng build. The end game should be we get something in the dist folder over on the left that's got all of our stuff inside of it. Meantime, if you got any questions, feel free to let me know as we wait for this to build. I promise I won't play any more guitar music today because it probably wasn't so good. Let's see here. Chunk optimization. Got a question, Alex, off topic, but in your opinion, Angular rise in the future? Yep, still is rising. Stars on React and GitHub are more than Angular. Yeah, I don't just look at GitHub stars. I mean, there's no doubting React is amazing and awesome, but GitHub stars don't define everything that's happening either. There's a ton of people using React, Angular, and Vue these days. Why no Webpack? Webpack's in here. It's actually being used by the CLI. So the Angular CLI actually uses Webpack config. We can check that out. So let's go see first if it built right. I've got dist. I've got my index.json, or sorry, my index.js. I've got the wrong folder it's going to run with. But you can see all my Angular assets are here. But the reason I did this is because I want everything that I want to serve, I want to be in this dist folder. So my node modules are here in the root, my node server, but then it's actually only serving what's inside a public web. So nobody has access to my node modules or my package.json, which is what I want. So that worked out. I need to change this because we're actually serving public web. Let's go back to my index server and we'll make our default public web like that. And we can rebuild it just to see how long that takes. And when we're done, I'll open up the file again and we should have a new version of that file up here. Let's see what happens. So CBear, why no Webpack? Yeah, let me show you a command. It's really cool. If you run, I'm not going to run it right now because we're building, but if you run ng eject, what that does is it ejects the Webpack config file out of the Angular CLI so you can see the whole thing, which lets you then customize it any way you want. it's actually using it under the covers right now, so I'm going to leave it where it is. Let's go check this out. Index.js inside of dist is now using public web. That makes sense. All right, let's try to run this. So if we went to the dist folder, no such folder. What's going on? Oh, I'm in the wrong folder. All right. Let's say we go to dist. Yep, ls, we're there. If I run node index.js, it says it's running on port 3000. Let's see what happens. Woo! All right, so now what this means is we've now just changed the structure of our app. It works, and it's served. We can serve it right out of dist using this structure. Pretty cool. Who wants to commit? I know I do. So let's go up here and let's, we moved our structure. It's actually refactoring, right? We refactored our structures, so we have a client and server folder, and it all ends up in the dist folder. All right, let's do that. Try to commit it, and we are good. Hey, nice to see you again, Impale987. Thanks for coming back. Have I tested Parcel.js already? Yeah, that's pretty cool too. Not using that one in here, but it's another good one. All right, so once we got those files up there, that's running locally. Seabear, you're a Vue man. Awesome. Vue's actually really cool. Maybe I'll do a Vue stream in the future if folks are interested in that too. Most of this really isn't Angular, by the way, this one. This is all going to be about just pushing it to the cloud. So everything we're doing here with Angular, you can do with React and Vue as well. I'm just using the Angular build system, which uses Webpack. So now that we have it and it was running locally, what if we wanted to run Docker instead? So let's play this game. Inside of VS Code, if you go up the command palette, which you can do by going to View, Command Palette, or Command-Shift-P. And now there's a command called Docker, add Docker files to workspace. I'm going to select that. Now we're using Node, not Go or .NET Core, and my port was 3000. What it's going to do is add 4 files to my project. If I go to the Git changes, you'll see there's a Docker ignore, which is very cool. I've got a Docker file, and then a Docker compose, and one for debug. Let's go check out the Docker file. So by default, it's grabbing Node 8.9 Alpine. That's cool. We use a Node environment production, working directory, that's fine. We're going to move over the package JSON. We're going to do an npm install, and then we're going to copy the files over and expose port 3000. Now the problem with this is, this would work with our other setup. So actually, let's undo this for a minute. Let's go back, and let's discard all changes. Let's go check out where we started. So if I do git checkout to master, we should come back, and this is the one where we should be able to say node index.js right in the root. We should be able to click on it, and there's no dist again. Yep, I ran into that before. We'll come down here to ng build. Oops, wrong folder. So we're going to rebuild. We didn't have a dist folder, so it's building up the assets again. I want to make sure that the app we started with still builds, so we can serve it. And we'll add Docker files to this one first, and then we'll go see how we can add a even better Docker setup. Something I like to do. All right, so we're building using Webpack. Seabear, how long have you been using Vue? Tell us, what do you like about it? I love hearing why people pick the different frameworks they pick. All right, that built. Let's run it. Cool. So our app still works. This is the original version. Got a couple of them open. And down here we can cancel and kill that process. Clear that out. Now let's go ahead and add the Docker files again. Port 3000. All right, let's go into the Docker file. Now this should work for us, right? Because it's copying the packages over, running an npm install, moving our files, exposes our port, runs command npm start. So let's go into our package JSON. Oops. npm start is node index.js. Cool. So right now, I reverted back to the original setup. The server is actually in the root. And if we build this Docker file, let's go back into Docker file. It should work. So another cool thing you do is with the command palette, I can type docker compose up. And we can just compose it. So now this is going to build my Docker image for me. We should start seeing some commands in the terminal. What's going on? Why is there nothing showing up? Let's check out the Docker command window. A few seconds ago, it looks like it created the image. It's there. We don't see any output. That's kind of scary. Let's kill this. Let's do it again. I don't trust things I can't see. Docker, compose up. Build it. There we go. There's the command. So it's building my Docker image. Ooh, it was just really fast. All right, so let's just go ahead and show the logs. We right-click it inside this Docker pane over here in the sidebar. I got the container. The green thing means it's running. I can do show logs. And there's no logs yet. That's okay. We can also attach the shell. Come down here to the shell, and I can type in things like, why is my terminal not working all of a sudden? That's not good. Let's kill that one. This one's listening. Well, you know what? I think it's like a visibility thing. Let's go ahead and attach the shell again. So notice that's not there. I go up here, come back down, and there it is. I'm using the insider's version, so that's probably why. So I can see my files are right there in the root. If we go back to where I showed the logs, we can see it's served on port 3000. If I click on that, it's now running inside of the Docker container. Cool, so that's our main app that we looked at originally, but I didn't like this because it's copying all my node modules over, it's copying my entire app, all my source files, everything. So let's just go and, we'll commit this as Docker stuff to master. Actually, let's not commit it. Let's just get rid of it. Yep, delete those 4 files. And let's go back up and check out to our Twitch Docker. Now this is the one that has source and client and server. I saw a question in the chat window. Did I have a separate package JSON for the server? I missed the start for Impale 987. Now I do, yes. So what I did is in the beginning of the stream, I refactored the app to have a client and a server folder. And what I'm doing is I'm putting a package JSON in the server folder. The only thing my server needs to run is Express. I didn't want to use everything that was in the root. So everything in the root, look at all these dependencies I have. This is great for when I build my app, but I don't want these to be there when I copied over to Azure. So instead, I'm using the root package JSON for the Angular app. This is just a way I've decided to do it today. The other package JSON for the server is just for the node server. Just a way to separate it out. It's going to allow me to reduce the amount of files that I'm going to be pushing up to the server. Good question, Impale. Canthiel, yep, I added a new package JSON for the server. Yep, absolutely, cool. Seabear, 6 months is how long you've been using Vue? Yeah, it is really cool. It does remind me of old Angular too. By the way, would you have thought you use Git from command, not from IDE? I go back and forth, honestly, Seabear. For basic stuff like commit and push, I use the VS Code extensions, but for anything more complicated, I do go out to the command line and terminal. So yeah, I kind of go back and forth. VS Code is getting so much better. It's awesome. All right, now that we have this, here's the key. If I go create my Docker files for node, port 3000, and we go look at the Docker file, our app doesn't look like what this default Docker file does. So the default Docker file just kind of gets you started, but we want to make this work for our own structure. What I really want to do is I want to replicate everything I just did manually, but in this Docker file. So in the end, I really only want to distribute to the Docker image everything that's in the dist folder. So let me delete the dist folder first. There, it's gone. I want to take what's in my app and build it up so that the Angular app builds one way, the Node app, I just get the Node modules, and then I kind of just put that inside the Docker image and I can serve that. All right, so watch this. I like doing this. If you select everything in the file, I use Command A, and I use Command / to comment it out. I have this cool little snippet I created called Docker Angular, and it creates this snippet which I use a lot. And you notice it's got a couple prompts in there, like who's the author, it's me, what port are you exposing, that'll be 3000 we're doing, and then what node image do you want. So let's kind of go through what this is and see if it works for our app. So up top, I'm grabbing first, this is called a multi-stage Docker file. I'm grabbing everything out of the Angular CLI image on Docker Hub. It's one that I created. It already contains the Angular CLI. So one of the slowest things we can do inside of a build system is constantly reinstall an NPM package. I don't want to do that, so this is where I would go ahead and say install the Angular CLI. Give me an image that's already got it installed. So I maintain this one Docker Hub image, which simply has the Angular CLI in it. And we're labeling this as client app. That's like think of it like a temporary table. It's a temporary memory store for our image. I then copy over our files, just the package.json on the root. I'm doing an npm install, copying them, and then I'm building it with a production build. So when I'm done with line 17, I should have the Angular app in this image called client app. Then the node server one, I'm going to do another multi-stage build. This time I'm saying just go get the node Alpine image from Docker Hub, label it as node server, and then I'm going to copy the files over. I'm going to move the node modules down a folder. It's a neat little trick that Chris Diaz taught me. He's on the VS Code team. This allows you to, it makes the Docker rebuilds faster by pushing it back a folder. So it's actually going to end up in user source, not in the app folder. And then I'm going to copy over everything in source server to the destination, which is going to be basically my node modules and my package lock there. We could copy that out of the disk too, that'd be fine. But in this case, we're not actually building Angular, it's a separate one. So now everything for the Angular apps and client app, everything for the node servers and node server. Finally, I say, grab an Alpine image, copy everything from node server from this folder to the source, copy everything from the client app from this folder to here, and then expose port 3000 and run node index.js. Now the paths are the one thing I always get screwed up on, so I want to make sure we got this right. This is saying go to the client app. Inside there's user source app. That should match this working directory on line 13. And then all the Angular stuff goes inside of dist. So that should copy it over there too. Okay, that should be good because the root. So let's try this quick. Let's kill all of our windows. I think we have a running container. Let's just stop the container. All right, let's do a Docker compose up, and I'm gonna run it with debug this time. Now this one's going to build. You can watch it down below. Notice that first it grabbed it from the Angular CLI, then it labeled it, pulled it over. Looks like it's doing the build for Angular right now. Let me check out the chat. Seabear, yeah, I would be interested to see a Vue stream and really interested about this issue, how to get more web apps running in the cloud. Yeah, I love Vue actually. I'm enjoying it. I play with Vue and Angular quite a bit. Should be a lot of fun. Cantil, shouldn't it be public web? That's a good question. So let's look. Would you want to grab everything with client app out of dist or public web to copy it over? Well, let's find out. Let's see what happens. I'll show you how you can debug this. If we're copying that at dist, which I deleted the folder in the local, that's going to be where the index.js is, and then there's a public web inside of it. So what we're saying is we're copying over the node files from dist, and then also the public web. I think this will work anyway, but that's probably a good point. Let's find out what it actually builds up. Yeah, I can't tell. Yeah, never mind. Won't need to. Server's already added already. Yeah, the server was already added. I think it's going to work anyway, but that's a good point. Maybe in the client app, we should just push up the public web and let the node server one do the node part. All right. We're still on step 7. That's the Angular CLI. That's a good reminder that I should probably update my package with the new version of the Angular CLI. which is my Angular CLI image. In case you're wondering, I'll go check that out and show it to you. If we go up to GitHub, John Papa, looks like it's building, that's good. In the background. Up here in the repositories, scroll down a little, you should see the Docker Angular CLI image. This is the one that I was pulling. Right now I've updated it for 1.6.7. If you go to the Docker file, you'll see what it does. Effectively uses Node Alpine, and at the bottom it's installing Angular CLI 1.6.7. So I'll just keep updating that. Cool, so our Docker image is built successfully. It's named it. It's a good sign over here also because you use Docker Compose. It ran it. It's green, that's good. Now let's right click and let's show the logs. There's our logs, the debugger's listening, it's running on port 3000. Let's be adventurous and click on 3000. Oh man, it works. It's so cool. All right, let's go to the shell and let's look inside of it. Notice this is inside the Docker container again with our new structure. We've got our public web, we've got our index. You can also do things like cat index.js, kind of see what was in there. Running on port 3000. I'm gonna get rid of the shell there, it's still running. All right, so what we did is we pushed everything over to our Docker image using the multi-stage file. You could do this in less lines of code. I like separating out the client from the node server because it makes it very clear, like this stuff was the Angular app. So how would you change this if you went to Vue or React? Thinking of CBear, thinking of you here. If you wanted to use Vue, you would just change lines 11 through 19. And instead of grabbing it from the Angular CLI, like I actually might even create a Docker Hub image of the Vue CLI. So we pull in our Node Alpine image, install the Vue CLI, pull over our package.json, then we do like an npm run build with the Vue CLI to actually build the assets that we need. And then this part would stay the same for our node server and then merging them together, which is kind of cool. So while this is a longer Docker file than we had before, it's a little more explicit in how we're doing things. Very cool. So going back to my notes, we said we were going to do a couple things. Let's see what we didn't do yet. I said I was going to run the node server, did that. We restructured the app to host it. So right here's the notes. We pushed to the cloud. We did a little of that, right? We pushed up the app to the cloud. It was running. We Dockerized this thing. Showed us our various options. We have not pushed the Docker image to Azure yet. We should try that. But first, let's go back to our app service, Twitch Supercat. If I right click, this thing should still be running. Yep, this is the one we ran originally. No Docker, up in Azure. You guys can hit this too. This is the, I'll probably kill this URL later, but that is the URL if you want to hit the live application. So let's see that. Good question in the chat. Need to check this slow-mo later. How long does it take to find from YouTube? Usually within an hour or two after the stream, I have exported it up to YouTube. I've got a Twitch channel. Let me put that actually in here. If I go to YouTube, you guys are going to get to see my YouTube stuff. I like to watch Greatest Showman. Let me come up here. I have a playlist. Where's my Twitch stream? John's Twitch streams. I'll have to create a short URL for this later. I'll put it in the chat. Here is my YouTube stream for Twitch. So that should help you out. But next up, let's take this Docker container and push it up to the cloud. So what I want to do is I want to take this container and like I can run it and do stuff here, but I want to take an image of it right there and I want to push it to the cloud. So first I want to tag it. So I'm going to right click and tag. You can do this from command line. And I'm going to push it up to not Docker Hub because, well, I could do Docker Hub, but Docker Hub is public. And I want to put some security in front of this, so I'm going to put it on the Azure Container Registry, which we can check out down here in this window. You can see I have some registries. One's Docker Hub, the other one's Azure. If I open up both, you'll see what I've got running in both. So here's my John Papa. You see the Angular CLI one in here. Yep. And then you can see down here, there's my Papa CR, Azure CR.io. I've got a couple things running, Vue and Angular. And then up here, I'm tagging this. So it was called just TOH Twitch. I want to call it Papa CR, Azure CR.io, TOH Twitch. So when I did that, if I go back to the images, you'll now see two images up top, which are really the same thing. This one and this one. So right here, it's the same image as the one above, it's just got a different tag. So by doing that, now when I push it, it's going to know which registry to go to. So I think I'm going to get an error here, but let's find what happens. I should be able to say push the Azure Container Registry. Authentication required. Yep. This is what I always run into. You've got to log into the Azure Container Registry. So what I could do, actually, I think I can do it right from the thing over here. Let's go to Docker, Container Registry. Should be able to right click and say, hey, log me in. Let's browse in the portal. Maybe, let's refresh. Our images got kind of wacky. Look at that. So, meantime, Clarkio, it'll be available directly on Twitch in the videos. Yes, it will. For the first 2 weeks, right? They only let you keep on it for 2 weeks, I think. So, it's not letting me do it there. What if I did an Azure login over here? Oops. Actually, I can do it inside the command palette. AZ login. What's the command? Azure sign in. Okay, it's not login, it's sign in. I hit copy and open. It opens up this wonderful device login. I paste my code, hit continue. I have to sign in as me. And now it's happy. I might also have to log into the Azure Container Registry though. So now I can rerun Docker push. Yes. So to do that, I'm going to have to go Google this. I forget the command. In the meantime, maybe, hey Clarkio, you want to look up? Do you want to look up the command for me on how to log into the Azure Container Registry? In the meantime, Alex is asking, will we build the app with real-time databases like Firebase? Does Azure have this? Not today, it won't, but Azure has a Cosmos database. It's a database they have in the cloud, and we can hook it up to that. We can also hook up our Azure app to Firebase. There's no reason we can't use two clouds. But not today, but maybe a future one. I'll take a note on that, because that'd be cool to do. And Seabear, do you have to set your Azure account somewhere, or is this just some black magic and just for testing? No, so you have to have an Azure account. So there's like a free trial. So let's go there first. Azure free trial. And let's go down to create your Azure free trial, account free. It's right up top. So you come up here and you can do start free. I've already got an account, obviously. And you walk through here and you can sign up. And there's like a 12-month free trial. You get a bunch of cool stuff in there. You have to log in at that point. So you can try that. Once you do that, if you install these extensions, these Azure extensions, which you can get from Azure Node VS Code extensions. I showed this in the last stream. Let me show it here. I can't remember if it's Notepad. I think it's Notepad. Yep, this is it. So it installs the Azure App Service, Cosmos, serverless functions, Docker, also the login tool, so you can log into Azure directly. So does that answer your question, Seabear? If not, just go ahead and keep asking. So I'm going to look up here, log in to Azure Container Registry. I haven't logged in a while. It's a new machine. So authenticate with the Azure Container Registry. Scroll down, because I don't read the docs, I just look at the code. Say ACR login, and then the name of the ACR. So my Azure Container Registry, that's what ACR is called. Go back over here. Hey, open it up. There we go. It's called Papa CR. So what I would do is type in this, like that, down here, and then I should be able to type in, what did I call it again? Papa CR.azure.cr.io. Probably don't need all that, but we'll see. can be found with name Papa CR. No resource. Registries can be found with Papa CR, Azure CR, IO. Let's see. Let's try just Papa CR. Login succeeded. Okay. So that's actually a good bug. Like, it should work, right? It should work if I type the full thing in or not. Seabear, you get $50 a month for MSDN subscriptions to Azure, so no need to take Azure to use. Yeah, exactly. You get $50 a month for free. That's cool. All right. Gluttonous. Hey, thanks for joining. Can you hear that MacBook screaming? Yes, you can. It is going to town. All right. So we now logged into the Azure CR. What we wanted to do was take our image, which is up here, right-click it, and then we're going to push it. And you notice it shows me the command in the terminal down here, docker push. So what it's doing right now is it's taking the image we already built and it's pushing it up to Azure. So while it's doing that over my Wi-Fi connection, I'll take any other questions you might have over in the chat. Looks like we're about all caught up. And then, oop, it already pushed it. Oh, that was quick. So now it's in the registry. Now it did not yet create a website out of it because right now it's just in the registry. So if I come over here and I refresh, we should see another image show up under Papa, wrong one, Papa CR. Yep, down there. Notice it's TOH Twitch. Cool. Yes, it's pushing, Canthio, it's pushing it to the tag of the image. Yes, absolutely. So pretty cool stuff. So once it's there, we can then take this. There's a couple options. You can go to the Azure portal at this point and look at it. We can see there's a tagged image down there. We can also deploy an image to an app service. I haven't done this before, so this is going to be kind of fun to see what happens. What we want to do is take that image and make a new website out of it. So let's try this. Now it's asking me, what subscription do you have? I've got two, one for my team and one for me. I'm going to choose mine. There's a thing called a resource group. This is like, logically, where do you want to put this thing? Let's create a new one, and we'll call it Papa Twitch Streams. How's that sound? I spelled Twitch wrong, didn't I? There we go. Wants to know where to put it. This is like, you want to put it wherever your users are. I'm going to say East US 2, because that's where I happen to be. Then ask me, what kind of plan do I want? What kind of server? And this is what you pay for in your plans. There's some small ones, there's some bigger ones. I'm going to create a new plan here. And we're going to call this plan. Oops, that's not what I want to do. I canceled everything I just did. Let's go do it again. So we're going to say deploy the image. We're going to pick here. I wonder if our resource group still exists. Don't see it there, so let's go ahead and say new resource group, Pop Twitch Streams, East US 2, new service plan. We're going to paste it in, and I'm going to pick a big server and a globally unique name for the new web app. So this is the one we called Twitch Supercat before. Can't call it Supercat, but I call it Superdog. It's got to be a unique name. So now this is going to take that Docker image that's up in Azure, and it's going to push it over to a brand new app service, which is a web app running in the cloud on Azure, and it's going to deploy it. So you can watch what's happening down here. Creating the new service, resource groups created, creating a service plan. That's basically saying, I imagine this is where somebody is back there going, ooh, go get a new server, plug in the blade. And then the plan's created. Once that plan's created, it then cranks up a new website called Twitch Superdog. It updated the settings, restarted the site, and I don't see where it deployed the Docker image, but let's see. It says it's ready. Let's go look. I don't think it's going to work the first time. And I think part of this is because my app running has to have certain node environment variables set up. But let's see what happens here. There's no more went messages down there, right? Oh my gosh, it ran. I didn't expect it to run. I actually thought I had some of my node environment variables. So let's go back. Here's the app, Twitch Superdog, Heroes. Sweet. Now the reason I thought it wasn't going to run is because if we go back and look at my index.js, that's not the one I wanted. Notice I have a backup, that's why. If they tell me the port, I use it, otherwise I use 3000. Okay, that's why. Without this, I would have had to specify it. Same thing with public web. So if those weren't specified, I could go to the app service and set it up. Let's go look at it. Right in VS Code, I can go over to John Papa. There's our Superdog. I can go look at this app. We can check out the files, but let's check the app settings. This is where if we had to set up a new app setting like the port, we could say, okay, add a new setting. We could set up a port like this, and we could set it to 3000, whatever. So now we've got an environment variable, and it'll take that an advantage, which is pretty cool. All right. So we did quite a bit, actually. We got through, I think, everything we wanted to look at. Push the image. Let's go ahead and commit this. This is going to be Docker files. Exist for our app. And I'm going to go ahead and push this up. And it's going to give me an error because I don't think I have an upstream. It's going to create it for it. Ooh, that's cool. VS Code's creating the upstream for me. Let's go up to GitHub. John Papa. Tour Heroes Twitch. And Gluttonous. Watched a lot of your videos in Pluralsight. Thank you. Thanks for watching that, man. All right, so now we have master, which is what we used last time. Now we've got this Twitch Docker branch. I'll probably merge this into master, but if you want to use it directly, you can just go to the Twitch Docker branch. And there's the Docker file we set up. That's our big long Docker file. And I left the old one in there just to show you what it looks like. So that's up there and live right now. I probably will kill these URLs. If you want to check this out, so there's no magic, you can check this out. We're able to deploy the app running Docker. And I had another link for you all. Let me go grab that. So let's see. If you want to learn how to do some of this on your own too, I've got another link you can hit, and that is this one. So it's a way you can deploy the app service up on the web. So Cantil, it's pretty awesome. Didn't know you could do all that from VS Code directly. Yeah, it's some of this is brand new, quite frankly. And like the double terminals, check this out. I love this. Command D down in a terminal. If I go to a terminal, Command D, bam, I got two terminals now. So I can type like one command in one and something else in the other. I love this. It's so cool. Awesome. And then I can come back, and all these extensions, they're so easy to use. I love it because you notice I never had to go to the command line to really do the Docker stuff. I didn't want to. I never had to go to the Azure portal either. Notice I never opened it. If I wanted to, we could. Like, we could come over here and go to Twitch Superdog. Actually, let's go to the registry and show you what that looks like. Go to Docker, Registries, Azure Container Registry. If I right-click on the one I want, you say Browse in the Azure portal, and it's going to show me what we created up in Azure. While that's loading, Gluttonous in the chat, looking at your website, are you starting to move into Vue? Yeah, I've been learning Vue lately too. I love JavaScript, so I've been doing, I was thinking I was going to learn React or Vue, and Vue really spoke to me more. So I've been, I know Angular very well. I wanted to try something different just because I like trying new things. So I've been doing Vue and I like it. So here is the container registry. If we go look at repositories, we'll see a couple of them up here, including TOH Twitch. If we click on that, we'll see our latest tag right there. There's some information about it. Check this out. Inside the latest tag, one of the things we can do is run an instance. So we can actually run one from here. Also, if we get onto webhooks, it creates a webhook for us. So when we want to set up a website, we can say every time we push to this TOH Twitch, we can automatically set up changes. So let's go check this out. If I go to App Services, and let's say I type in Twitch. There's our Superdog and cat. We'll click on the Superdog. And if we come down to Docker container, we can see that it's using this Docker container that we set up. It's got continuous deployment established for it. You can turn that on, turn it off, like that. Press save. We should be able to see our app settings in here too, the stuff we did from VS Code. If I click on that, we should be able to scroll down. Notice my port is set up right here. And if we go back to our, not our resource group, our registry, which was in here. We got a repository. Notice we have a webhook right there for Twitch Superdog. This means if we change the app, it should change over there. Anybody want to try this out? Watch this. This is our Superdog. Notice it says Twitch Heroes up the top. Let's change that. Let's go back into our app. And where is that in the app? App.component maybe. Nope, it's probably in toolbar. Where does it say? Twitch Heroes right there. Let's say Twitch, how about Twitching Heroes? We'll change it. Put an exclamation at the end. Now, if we recompose, do the main app and build it, we should get a new image up there soon. I could take that image and I should be able to then, after we build the image, I want to watch it build, so there we go. It's building over here. It's rebuilding the Angular app and putting all my settings back in place. And then after that, we'll take that image, move it to the container, and we should, because that webhook is set up automatically, should automatically deploy it to the website we created. So the webhook I'm talking about is back in here. This Twitch Superdog is set up so that whenever we get a new version of the container, it's going to automatically push it to our app service. So whenever a new one of these repositories tag Twitch Heroes, sorry, TOH Twitch latest, is going to end up getting a new app service for us over here, which is this one down there. All right, so if we come back over here, waiting for it to build. Any questions from anybody as we go through? Cool, let's see. Waiting for it to build. I think at this point what is happening, if we go back to the Docker file, is it's running ng build. Yep, it's running ng build, step 7 of 18. And it's running it for a production build, so that's what's happening right now. It's creating our production files. It had to rebuild that because the toolbar component HTML changed. That's one of the Angular files. So Docker noticed that it changed, so it's rebuilding that piece. The layers above it should be okay and should go much faster because we didn't change anything on the node server, for example. So once that kicks in, there we go. Notice the rest of this is running really fast. Let's see here. Alex, good question. What's Build Optimizer? Oh, Build Optimizer. Actually, you don't even need that anymore. Let me show you that. So up here on line 17, you just run ng build prod. It actually runs the Build Optimizer for you. That was an experimental flag earlier in the Angular CLI. What it does now is it makes the bundles significantly smaller than they used to be. It does more tree shaking and dead code removal. I left it in there because I'm just used to saying it, and it reminds me that it's happening. And it made you ask a great question. Alfred Huge Nose, thanks for joining us. Hi, what font is that? This font's in here. I'll show you that. This is using one that I purchased called Operator Mono. Let's see. Right there, Operator Mono. It's one that I purchased actually. I love it. Gives me cursive on the comments too. And I'm using my theme called Winter is Coming. So let's see here. Okay. Container is there. Is it running? Yes. Now what we want to do is we want to re-push this. So I want to tag it again. Oops, right here. Notice up here in the image, there's the one I just created. There's the one I tagged earlier. So I want to right-click it again, tag it. Yes. Now this should not say 23 minutes. It should say a minute ago. Good. I then want to push this to the same registry. This time I didn't have to log in because I logged in already. No worries, Alfred. Thanks for asking the question. So it says it pushed it up. Now here is where I like to go up to the run the app service. Let's go back to the repositories. I like to go over to the webhooks and Twitch Superdog. We should see, notice right there, something happened just a few minutes ago here. On today at 3:14, and that's my local time. So a webhook ran for this thing just a moment ago, and then it should have pushed it over and restarted our server. So let's go run. We'll get rid of the slash. Let's go back to Superdog, run it, and notice the title changed to Twitching Heroes. Now, that's pretty cool. I love that. So all of our code is checked in, I think. Oh, except for that, Twitching Superheroes. I'll change that back. Don't want to keep that. So it's easy for us to rebuild, redeploy with Docker. We can also use that AZ web app setting, which I really like. That was from this blog post that we mentioned earlier. And I can put that back in the chat window. I don't know if I shared that one. So let me go and give you that. That was like a one command deploy. I love that. So unless there's any other questions, we did pretty good today. 75 minutes for the stream. I want to thank you all for joining me. Don't have anything in mind for next week yet, but I'm going to do this every Thursday at the same time. 2 p.m. Eastern is what I'm shooting for. I'll put out some ideas. If you have any ideas on Twitter of what you'd like to see, let me know. I'm John_Papa on Twitter. We can go out there now. And what I'd like to do is on Twitter, just go ahead and let me know what you want to see. And if you want to see it, we can put it into one of the next streams. Got a lot of ideas people gave me, like maybe a View app. We could do a Cosmos DB with a database for our application. We could do other kinds of deploys. We could do serverless functions. Was also asked about like module loading and stuff. So if you have other questions about Azure, about JavaScript in general, or anything on the web, let me know on Twitter, and we can figure out what to kind of do next time. Until then, I'll leave you with a quick bit of guitar, right? Until then, let's see here. Anybody like any country, or do you like rock and roll? I don't know. No, not going any further. Anyway, that was some country song my wife likes, and I like it. Anyway, let's do that, and I'll give you the link to the repo. That'll work for you. I'll put that in the window. Boom. Thank you very much, everybody, and I hope you enjoyed this. And if you like it, please tell your friends, let them follow. And maybe we can build something even better and cooler next time. Loving this. Thanks.